Hello, everybody. Coach Rogers here. Welcome to Career Coach Talk. In this episode, we have an interview with another fantastic individual. This is Miss Gabrielle Dawn Che. Now, Miss Gabrielle Dawn Che is an amazing humanitarian. She's a wellness facilitator, community organizer, yoga instructor, speaker. She does spoken word. She writes. When it comes to the arts, this woman has it down. She's from DeSoto, Texas, a proud DHS Eagle, and she believes in equipping people with the insight to break yokes, heal, learn, and grow. She loves teaching people and having the power, teaching people the power of loving themselves in a world that provides, that can profit from their lack. So we're going to learn more about that today. She, of course, is a registered yoga instructor, a certified life coach, and a certified herbalist. Recently, she has been raising community awareness in her hometown when it comes to sexual assault. Unfortunately, she had an incident that was actually reported on the local news recently, but she has been strong and she has worked her way through it. And she's also helping making sure that nobody else deals with the things that she deals with, which goes back to the humanitarian that she is. And I'd like to introduce you all to the show. Proud to have on Career Coach Talk to help us through how to be more centered and loving of ourselves, Miss Gabrielle Dawn Che.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you? I love the headscarf.
Thank you so
And
much.
I love her bonnet. Look at that. Look how cute she is. So, okay, so now you have to let us know, Gabrielle, who is this wonderful person that's with you right now?
So this is my daughter. Her name is Saint. Everybody calls her Mango. Whenever I was pregnant, I would always say I'm with Mango.
Mm,
So Saint Mango. This is my
okay.
baby. So she's up from a nap, so she's joining us.
Okay, not a problem. I remember being that small and having just as much as hair as she has right now. So that's too cute. Absolutely. So we gave an introduction. You are our arts and center of being a self-love master. That's who I've kind of cast you as right now, for our audience. So with that being said, you want to show us, you want to talk to us about how to be like water. You know what I'm saying? During COVID, the only person I've ever used that reference that's from a famous perspective is Bruce Lee. Be like water, form around what's around you to still be effective. Is that what you meant by that?
Absolutely. Um, being like water is being what you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be that. Sometimes you have to be solid, like ice, move around and flow, like what we're doing with this interview right now. She's supposed to be asleep. She's usually asleep for a couple of hours. And right now, she's going to be here and be nursing and whatever else. So now I have to be able to move to her needs as well as the needs of your viewers and what we have going on. And sometimes you have to evaporate, sometimes you have to fall like rain. So being whatever you need to be when it comes time to be that.
Okay, so you're talking about all the states of water, be like steam and mist
Mhm.
and flow through, be like rain and fall down, be like ice and be still and unmovable. So wow. Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So how have you been maintaining a successful trend during COVID right now for yourself?
Okay. um Really being like water. So with COVID, what it has taught me is that you have to let go of limiting beliefs. For me personally, I'm not like super big on, doing like virtual stuff and putting classes online and doing things like that. But I've just learned like, hey, I have to go with the flow of things sometimes. I cannot, if this is what speaks true to everybody right now, if this is what we're going to do to make sure that everybody is safe, yeah, then that's what I have to do. So that's what I've been doing to maintain some level of consistency. That as well as just not letting, it was when COVID first started, I was watching CNN all day, every day. And it was crazy because it wasn't like it was stressing me out, but I was just so like captured by what was going on, especially, in our country. So, yeah, I had to take a step back from that because it was like, That's all I was doing and thinking about. But I just learned, like, okay, so this is what I need to do. Let's start transitioning some of our doings online. Let's start. We had to cancel our workshops and things like that. So instead, we said, okay, well, let's see about doing some check-ins online. Let's see about doing some things like that. So that's what we've been doing. They, of course, haven't been as successful as our physical gatherings and workshops, but it's all a learning curve. So I love to learn, but then, sometimes you want to learn the way that you want to learn, and I've learned that ain't always what's going to happen.
So, if you don't mind sharing with us, what are some of the main things you've learned in this transition? And like you say, you're going through a transition of how you run your business now that you can't meet with people as much as you would like face to face. So, what are some of the main things you've learned during this time?
I have learned, learned so much. I think that there's this thought that everybody is just so caught up in their phones and social media and things like that, and that people don't have any real way to connect with each other physically. But I think what I've learned with COVID is that when we were forced to stay away from each other and the only way we could interact with one another was online, it wasn't enough. So I've learned that we are not as far gone as what we think we are. And my line of work is with people. So a lot of what I've learned is observing people, observing the changes and lessons, within myself. So that's a big one, is that there still is a lot of areas that we can grow as far as our compassion and empathy for other people during these times. But yeah, so that's been a big one.
Okay, that's interesting. So you kind of regain some of your belief in humanity itself because you realize people are not as so far gone from each other as you may have thought, right?
Yeah, so I never, and I don't, so even whenever people say oh, my faith in humanity, I always have to have faith in humanity. I think that it just, I'm already soft on the inside. I'm goo. But it just softened me even more to see okay, we're good. We just have some that we have to work on, So I thought that was beautiful.
All right. So, what are some of the common mistakes that you have seen a lot of your clients make in the business that you do? So, and kind of tell us a little bit about the business that you do and how you go about. I know you're a yoga instructor, but I'm sure you do a little bit more than that.
Yeah, I do a whole lot of things. So I do event and project curating and management as well. And what's beautiful about the way that, being a wellness facilitator is being able to use my gifts of being relatively zen and things like that, and bring it to the table with my clients and with my projects. So just bringing that energy to help facilitate and curate the proper space for people to just be their best selves. But one of the biggest mistakes I think that I see folks make is not taking the steps necessary. So first I tell people okay, you have an idea, you want to do something. It's great that you talk about it, but let's write it down. Okay. And then once you write it down, the bigger picture, let's see what small steps we need to do so that way we can conquer the bigger mission, right? And I think sometimes once people see the big mission, they're like, oh no, this is too much. When it's no, you can tackle it one step at a time. You can take care of this and it won't be an issue whenever you take one step at a time. So I think that sometimes people, one, they don't want to write it down so that they can make the vision plain, right? And then whenever they do, they get overwhelmed. But I tell people, if you talk back to your anxiety, you can defeat it. I defeat anxiety every day because I tell it, hey, okay, this is what I got to get done. Okay, well, what can I do? What are the small things that I can do to beat this and to overcome this? And then we're good, right? So taking that time to really just talk back to that self-doubt, and then take the step. Don't sit on it. So many people will sit on something, and I'm like, we could have so many cures, so many, things built, so many programs that could have been launched if people would just take the step. But what comes with that is the responsibility of maintaining the stride after you take the step, right? So sometimes I think some people aren't ready to do that. So, but that's one of the biggest steps or mistakes is not get into that first part, which is writing it down.
I think a lot of people are scared of tripping though. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, yeah, I can write it down and start taking these steps, but what happens if I trip?
You just get back up, baby. That's why it's a trip and it's a fall and it's everything else, but you still got legs up under you, or a wheelchair or a cane or whatever else that can still keep you mobile. And when you ain't got that, you look to your left and your right, and the people that are around you are gonna help carry you because they saw you moving, but with or without them. So remembering that's a part of it.
Okay. Awesome. So what are some things you're doing right now to position yourself for a continued success over the next 6 to 12 months?
So I am actually working logistically on, what kind of content I'm going to be putting out and how to scale.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. So that's not my area of expertise. So I am, you know, bringing on board some folks where that is their area. And that's another thing too, just to kind of backtrack into that. Another big mistake, people don't want to put folks that know more than them in certain areas into their area. And that's something that I have no problem with doing. Now, if you know how to do it and get an expert, then let you do that. I'm gonna go eat a sandwich and focus on what I'm good at, so that way that's just less stress on me. But that's something that I've been working.
Let me ask you this question. Why do you think that is? Why do you think people are scared to bring in someone else who may be more skilled on, in a certain area in what they're doing to assist?
Ooh, a lot of reasons, but mainly ego.
Oh.
Sometimes I think people want to be able to say like, oh, I'm self-made, or I did this all by myself. I didn't have help. And for me, I'm just like, I don't have time for that because it takes a village. Not just to raise a child, but to maintain a business. It takes a village to maintain your sanity sometimes in adulthood, to be okay. It takes a village for everything. Everybody has a role, and all the roles are important and valid and necessary. It's like the body. The arm can't be mad at the leg because I want to be I want to be moving. But you do other things. So remembering that. But I think ego is one of the biggest things. And then of course relinquishing like sometimes control, trust issues, fear. But yeah.
Okay, I just kind of want to get your perspective on that just now because that was a kind of interesting thing that you brought up. So I just want to dive a little bit deeper into that particular piece. But you were telling us some things you were doing over the next few months to continue your success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so revisiting things logistically. And to be quite frank, I'm not really quite sure what that looks like as of yet. I'm going to be putting out more content, like subscription-based content, things like that, classes, yoga privates, private life coaching sessions, things like that, to where I can really pour my time and energy into folks one-on-one. I absolutely love that. As well as even on see, and that's the thing with COVID. I'm used to, I do the public speaking and the workshops physically. So that's why, like I say, I'm talking to some experts so they can tell me, hey, this is what you do. This is gonna be what best translates virtually. So
Okay, that's okay. I can definitely understand that. So kind of doing a quick circle around how has COVID affected your interactions with your family and even in your day-to-day with your daughter?
Yeah. So my family and I'm really close with my family. So COVID, has made us even closer because we can't rely on really anybody else or not I don't want to say rely, but interact with other folks. So it's like we've been pretty much staying in our bubble. So that's been interesting. It's been a blessing though. With my daughter, I'm a busybody a little bit. Like, so I always like to kind of get out and explore places. So, I'm always exploring and moving around and everything. And um, that's something that I was looking forward to doing, with her. She's still pretty young. She's 1 next month. But it was just kind of like, oh, wow, like I can't even go, especially when it first started, like I can't even go to the park with my baby. I can't even, take her to Target and we walk around and, anything. So it was a little bit of a challenge, like I say, because I'm a busybody or I'm very outdoorsy. So not even to when it initially started, that was a challenge. Here lately, we go to parks or we just went to the beach, things like that. So it's been better.
Cool, cool. That's awesome. So tell me about your business. Tell us about Queens and New and how we can learn more about you and your business.
So what Queens and New is Queens and New has evolved into so many things.
Yeah.
But mainly the wellness facilitation, as well as we do the project and event curating through that. So as I'm a yoga instructor and life coach and speaker, and I primarily do that through Queens Anew.
Mhm.
My sister and I also we work with different herbs and methods of natural healing and medicines and things like that we customize certain things for people specifically,
Yes.
as well as like
You're a certified herbalist then, right?
uh-huh, yeah. And I'm in a really, really great program right now that I need to finish, but it's been a doozy this year. But yeah, so that's what we do with Queens and New. It's more so lifestyle, what do we call it? Like my sister says like Mother Earth lifestyle showcasing. So it's but on a more, I think, luxurious end of it. Super earthy, super like whenever you visit our site and everything, it's warm. We travel a lot. So it's something where it's like we just share our experiences, our perspectives, and different insight. So as well as, like I say, the project, an event curating and planning.
Well, that's awesome. And I just want to take a quick opportunity to say thank you so much for taking time to speak with us today and sharing your beautiful daughter and you guys' story together as well. So we definitely appreciate you being with us today. And she is on cue. So with that being said, any final insight, any lasting, note or impression or insight that you would like to share with the Career Coach Talk audience today? Would you like to leave us with?
Um, just remember to be like water. It doesn't always feel good. It doesn't always look good, but if you want to make it and be successful, whatever level of success that you define, whatever you define as success, you have to be like water to some extent to get there. So make it less painful and be like water.
That's it. All right. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us, Gabrielle Dawn. Thank you for all your wisdom you provided to us today. We definitely enjoyed it, and your daughter as well. Thank you for showing us how to be like water as well. Telling us as well, you are living the product you want us to be a part of. So we definitely appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
All right. And thank you guys for joining us for this episode of Career Coach Talk, where we the next best version of yourself. We love to bring you great people who are doing real work to get real success. See you guys next time. And Gabrielle and I say, see you next time.
See you.
Thank you for watching today's episode of Career Coach Talk. Are you ready for your next professional version of yourself? Come visit us at mdself.com. Schedule your free consultation or reach out to us via email at coach@mdself.com.